So today we're having Frito Burritos. If you grew up in the 90s, and you probably remember that Taco Bell staple, one of my favorites, and they discontinued it, and I know Joe cried in the drive-thru lane. So when I first started making these are just regular burritos, and I thought one day, you know, I've got some leftover Fritos, let's throw these in and see how it tastes, and goodness, it's amazing. So these are the old school, like Frito Burritos from Taco Bell. It's very similar. You need Fritos and onions and refried beans and Mexican blend cheese, which you don't see out because we're not going to do that till later. Because first we're going to cook the meat in the crock pot. We're using beef stew meat, 2 10-ounce cans of red enchilada sauce, and 2 beef bouillon cubes. We're going to dump all this into the crock pot, and it will cook for 8 hours in the crock pot, and then we will come back and we will assemble our burritos and cook them in the broiler for 5 minutes. And it may be closer to 3 minutes because they tend to overcook sometimes. And nobody likes burnt cheese, that's gross. So this is super easy and super fast. The hardest part is assembling everything, which is not hard at all. So right now we're just gonna dump everything in. This is just a package of, it's about 1.5 pounds of beef stew meat. You could use a pot roast. That would be totally fine. The stew meat flakes easier after it cooks. I'm gonna open my cans in my can opener. And you can use any brand of enchilada sauce.
But we are very partial to the old El Paso.
Well, I also like, what's that one that we got that one time when they were out? And it was super spicy, but it was so delicious.
It was a lot thinner too.
It was thinner. Was it Las Palmas?
It may have been, yeah.
I can't remember.
I think
but it was
you're right.
so good. Our croaker has been out of like all of the enchilada sauces lately. We had to hit up the IGA this morning because they have been out. I don't know if people are going on a Mexican food kick and eating all the enchilada sauce or what, or if it's just pandemic living and the strangest things go out of stock. I don't know. We're going to use 2 beef bouillon cubes. If you don't have cubes and you have granules, you can do that. Do not put water in this, and you don't want to substitute for broth. And I double checked the original recipe this morning, and it says you can put them in whole, but I'm going to go ahead and try to cut it in half. Sometimes these break apart really easily, and sometimes I have to use a knife to break them apart.
Which may be why granules might be preferred, since they do better whenever they've crumbled down and they mix.
Yeah. If you do use granules instead of the cubes, it's 1 teaspoon per cube, so you're going to use 2 teaspoons. So that's it. Like, I'm done. Well, this is going to cook for 8 hours.
Don't you usually stir that up to where it gets all the sauce all over the cubes?
No.
No?
They sink to the bottom. No, it's good. Just dump it in.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
We're going to cook this for 8 hours on low. You could probably do 4 hours on high, but the meat's not going to be flaky, and it's not going to break apart as well. If you cook it slowly, it'll shred and flake better. When we come back, we will heat up some burrito-sized flour tortillas. We will have our refried beans and a chopped onion and some shredded Mexican blend cheese and our Fritos. And you can use sharp cheddar instead of a Mexican blend. Totally up to you. I prefer the Mexican blend, so that's what I'm going to use because it's my food. As far as carbs go, I don't remember off the top of my head how many carbs these are, but I will stick with eating just the one burrito, and that will fill me up enough. I won't need anything else after that. I think I might have some leftover cilantro lime rice. We'll probably heat that up and eat it on the side. I don't like rice in my burrito. Taco Bell started doing that and they ruined everything. So I might, if I have some carbs left over, I might have some of my cilantro lime rice on the side. So we will see you back here in 8 hours. All right, so our meat has been cooking all day. We're almost at that 8-hour mark. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn my broiler on, and I'm gonna start heating up my tortillas. This makes about 12 burritos, kind of depending on how many tortillas you have. And I have 12, so that's what we're doing. Broil. That's not the right button. Broil. Start. That's also not the right button. Oh my goodness. Broil. Start. Goodness gracious. Okay. I have 12 tortillas on my griddle. And the last time I made this, I think I used regular tortillas, so it might not make quite as many. So I will save my bags just in case. I'm gonna turn that up to get it heated. What we're gonna do is once these are warm, and they don't need to be fully cooked, just warm enough so that I can fold them and wrap them. We're gonna put some refried beans on them, and then put the meat from the crock pot, and then sprinkle with onions, cheese, and the Fritos. Wrap it all up. Once I have all of my burritos assembled, I'll pour any remaining enchilada sauce over the top with my ladle. I need to make sure I have, yep, okay. So I'm gonna go over here and check out my meat and see how it's doing. I stirred it once earlier today, about halfway through cooking. Give it another stir now. So now we can kind of push on the meat a little bit to break it up. We're not gonna really shred it like you would pulled pork or anything like that. Just kind of break it into smaller pieces. You could maybe use your mix and chop from Pampered Chef if you have one of those, or just the back of your wooden spoon. I'm not being really particular about it. And sometimes I don't even do this at all. I'll just have a little time while I'm waiting for the tortillas to heat up. All right, I think that's good. And these are really big, so how we'll fold them is we'll turn that in and then we'll roll it like that.
Okay.
So, and really, these are pretty malleable, so I really am only gonna take a couple more seconds here because they're gonna cook in the broiler, so I'm not worried about them being overly warm.
Yeah, the broiler is mostly for like crisping the cheese and the top of the tortilla.
Yeah, it'll melt the cheese and it'll crisp the tortilla. I really only use my broiler for this and for pizza toast. I can't think of anything else that I regularly use my broiler for. Okay, I think these are good. I'm gonna call them good. Tortilla, a little bit of refried beans, maybe it's about what, tablespoon, 2 tablespoons worth?
That might be about a tablespoon.
Okay, spoonful of meat, and I tend to underfill my first few burritos and then overfill my last few.
So I try to, grab the ones that you filled last.
Right. Some cheese, some onions, and of course, some Fritos. Then we tuck in the top and the bottom. I'm gonna turn it so I can roll it. And roll it up, slide it to the side. All right, we're gonna keep going on these burritos just as quick as we can. All right, these are the last two I can get. I just have the tiniest little bit of meat left in there. So, I was able to get all 12, but these last two are a little bit on the light side. I probably could have just made these two into one. But I'll make up for that by being a little bit heavier on the cheese.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. And again, that's 1.5 pounds of stew meat, so there's the option of just putting more stew meat in there.
Right. Right. All right. So there are my 12 Frito Burritos. I'm gonna use my ladle to ladle the last of the sauce, or at least most of the sauce, over the burritos. And you can see there's a little bit of flakes of meat left that I just could not scoop out with my bowl or with my spoon without getting a bunch of sauce.
Oh, and trust me, it's really good that way.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Like a bit of a garnish or something.
So I'm using my Pampered Chef stoned bar pan. Any pan with a lip or a shallow casserole dish will work. I mean, you could use just a regular baking sheet, but this holds the sauce in so you don't make a big mess all over your oven or your countertop. So I really am using every last bit of this sauce. Any part that's not covered in sauce is going to get really crispy, which is fine if you like it crispy.
Oh, I do. I like it whenever they do.
Okay. Now, final layer of cheese sprinkled over the top. And then we're going to pop this into the broiler. I'm going to do 3 minutes and check it and maybe add 2 more minutes. Every broiler, just like every oven, is a little bit different. And mine can be a little finicky sometimes. It also depends on how high or low you have your rack. So this might be 5 minutes because of where my rack is placed. I could lift it up. We're gonna do 3 minutes to be safe. All right, we're back. My 5 minutes is up. You can see my cheese is melted. My tortillas are crispy, but not burnt or overly brown. All right. Let me get in here and get one of these tortillas out. Trying to remember. I'll take this one. This one looks like it's probably the easiest to access one. Now look at that. Doesn't that look like it's just fresh from the restaurant?
Yeah.
I even have cheese dripping off my plate. Look at that. So delicious. Some cilantro lime rice on the side, which I have in an earlier video, and I will link that for you in the description. I can't wait to eat this. It looks so good and it smells so good. I wish you could smell it too. So we're gonna go have our dinner. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me.